Hello, everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. I'm not doing the intro. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And today we are going to do another movie review
slash trivia
information
slash fun
stuff.
We can't really actually figure out what these truly are, so we're just gonna...
No, it's more along the lines of, hey, Ian, what do you remember? And then playing off of that.
And then after that, we kind of talk about it. Whatever. We'll find a name. Once we find a name for them, we'll start calling them that. But anyway...
But you get what's going on.
So Crystal has a question for me.
So, today's topic is going to be, oh, by the way, happy 1 year anniversary,
Oh my God,
Ian.
that's right. So this airs on the 9th.
Yes, and our first episode ever happened on the 11th of February.
2018.
So, happy 1 year anniversary.
Thank you, dear.
I'm happy that we're still doing
this. I know.
And we still like each other.
I know. Either it's gonna work out really well, or we're gonna hate each other, and we didn't end up hating each other. So I think that is a win in the end.
Well, and Disney is such just a passion of both of ours, so it makes sense that we just want to keep talking about it. And there's so many things that we can cover.
It's just we haven't even scratched the surface.
Barely.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense that we just keep going with this. Yeah. And honestly, this is a big mental break for both of us from the mundane world, as I'm sure it is for you guys as well. So it's a nice little escapism. That's what Disney is. Disney allows us to be able to get rid of reality and live in a fantasy world for a little while.
Right.
And so I'm happy to be living this fantasy with you for a year.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it too. It's very fun. It's a fun thing for me, and I always enjoyed Disney, especially the parks and the attractions and the entertainment and all the stuff that they've been doing. You know, you've been getting me more into the classic animation and stuff, but I think that it's really nice to be able to just talk about it and interact with these people, all these people that are out there that are in the same world.
They're just as big of nerds as us.
I know.
They're
it's
adults
nice.
who are Disney nerds.
Right.
And you don't really know that they exist in the real world,
Right,
but then you get here and everybody's like, oh yay, we love Disney too.
Yeah. It's been really fun to watch that and to watch that we have people that consistently still, watch or listen to this podcast even after a year. And I just, that's more than a lot of podcasts can say that we have any following whatsoever. It's just really amazing. And I really, just thank you so much for those of you that have been sticking with us. And if you're new, we've got 45 episodes going back to if you want to listen to those, and we try to do it every Saturday. Obviously we can't always do it.
There were a couple of breaks that we had to have in there.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate all of our friends that we've made off of this, all of the people that we've connected with, and we do this because we love it. And our very first episode, we didn't expect anybody to listen to, and we said we're doing this for us, and people are on board with that, which I think is amazing.
It's
so
amazing.
it's still just Ian and I fumbling over our words, talking about something that we have a passion for, and
Absolutely.
It's amazing, and thank you for coming along on this ride with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just awesome. So, as you may have seen in the title of the episode today, we are going to talk about the Emperor's New Groove.
So, whenever we do one of these movie episodes, I like to say, hey, Ian, what do you actually remember about this movie? And the nice thing is he cheated. And I'm going to say it cheated. Because you just saw this recently, and I say recently in the last month or so?
Month or so, yeah. I saw it in in about the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm going to
tell
the plot. Okay, so this one luckily is fairly straightforward. We open halfway through the movie, and he's talking about how did I get here, because he's a llama, David Spade's llama, and all this stuff. And so he is the emperor, and Cusco is the emperor, and he is a dick, and he has his she's like magician. What is she exactly? Advisor, yeah,
something.
Yzma, and she is
Yzma.
She's delightfully evil and also just lovable, and it's Eartha Kitt. I mean, what can you say?
Love Eartha Kitt,
right? And so
who doesn't love Catwoman?
Exactly. And so she's amazing. I think she's kind of one of the things that makes this show. I mean, it's a truly unique show. And so she is evil and she's scheming to kill him. Meanwhile, he calls in John Goodman. Whatever his name is, I don't remember. What is his name? I don't remember his name.
Poncho or
Poncho or
something.
something,
Like
yeah.
that.
Brings him Paco, yeah. Brings him in and is like, "Hey, you've got a great hill you live on. I'm
should find this word.
gonna build my summer home there. It'll be awesome." And so he's like, "Wow, you're a dick," because we already knew this and it's been established, this whole opening Cusco thing and all that. And so at that point, he sends him off, and Yzma and her sidekick Kronk try to kill him by having she has these like overly complicated like Paca, that's what it was. We were almost there.
Paco.
Paco,
Nanny.
we got there. And she tries to kill him with this like over elaborate scheme where they had a dinner party and Kronk made spinach puffs, which I still would like to try.
Spinach. Oh, we should totally make spinach puffs.
We're gonna do that.
There are recipes online for Kronk spinach puffs. We should do it.
I love that. And yeah, so he does that, and then he's trying to like poison Cusco. They have to go down, and he grabs the poison, especially for Cusco.
This is
Cusco's poison, the whole thing. And it ended up he grabbed the wrong one. The label was all screwed up, which is really a mistake anybody can make. Yeah. It ended up being llama potion, and so he turns into a llama, and then they just dump him somewhere off in the woods. And often somewhere in the wilderness, and that's when Paca finds him.
Okay, so I have to back you up just slightly because it's my favorite scene is
yes.
after he's turned into a llama, and then Kronk knocks him out. They put him in a sack, and Kronk is sneaking through the empire and making his own theme music.
Yes.
As all of these people are walking by, he'll stop on a wall and go. And then after they're gone, he keeps going.
Yeah.
And just a little early tidbit, what I find hilarious is that music that he came up with on the spot is now copyrighted by Disney, so they can't replicate it.
It is, and did Patrick Warburton just make it up?
Yes!
That's so awesome.
No, it's copyrighted music. Anyways,
of course
moving on.
I love that. He's a composer, technically. That's awesome. So he is in the woods, and then Paca finds him there, and basically it was kind of a deal where he's like, "I will get you back to the kingdom if you agree not to put my my thing on top of the village, or whatever." And so he kind of Cusco doesn't really agree, and then he kind of does, and then they have kind of a near-death experience, and he saves them, a couple of them, and they kind of bond. And there's lots of fun, whimsical adventures that take place, and lots of missed connection kind of humor and all that. Very fun. Cross-dressing llamas, like you do. And then by the end, they find their way back, and they eventually. It's kind of basically they defeat Yzma, and she ends up being a cat and falls somewhere, and then he ends up getting back to being Cusco again, and I'm trying to remember. I mean, he basically just ends up having kind of a change of heart, and he finds a different hill, and they become friends, and it's kind of the end. It's kind of the end of the story. It's not an overly complex story, to be honest. He's basically like, it really boils down to like, Emperor is kind of a dick to peasant, evil character turns him into a llama king, and peasant join forces and defeat the evil person that turned him into a llama in the first place, and then he's not a dick anymore. Basically what it boils down to.
That's a pretty good summary, I would say.
Like I said, I actually saw this one like fairly recently, so I have a better understanding.
I have to say, one of my favorite things is Yzma.
She is just delightful.
There are so many memes out there of like Yzma being all these Disney princesses.
Yes.
You've seen those, haven't you? The redrawings of like Yzma on top of the rock coming out of the water like Ariel of the Little Mermaid.
Oh my God.
And Yzma, dancing with the prince, and Yzma doing, oh my gosh, I would have to show you. They are hilarious.
She is an absolutely awesome villain. She's kind of the perfect amount of kind of delightfully evil, but she's also kind of bumbling and so funny, and so great interactions with Kronk, and she's just kind of lovable, and you don't know why she shouldn't be, but she just kind of is. And
she's just so angular and so like old person, like she has 4 eyelashes, and
but they are huge.
her boobs are down near her elbows, and it's just amazing.
She is a great character, and Eartha Kitt is so perfect in playing Yzma that I just can't separate them anymore, like, from each other. She just nails it, and it was kind of one of the last things she did, wasn't it?
So there she is on the rock.
We can put these
there
up.
She is doing Yzma as Frozen.
Frozen, yep.
And there's her as Simba and Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Dancing with the Beast, and you see how, thrilled he is there.
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, yep. And she's
Wait, where did it go? I just
know.
Clicked on.
Anyway, this is not helpful to people.
No, this is not helping for the people who are listening.
Yep.
Princess Leia in front of Jabba the Hutt.
She is absolutely one of those kind of cult following characters. She is just awesome. And I think she is one of Eartha Kitt's last roles. And man, she was just amazing. Yeah. So,
but this movie didn't actually start off in the plot and the world that we know it as.
Yes.
It was originally started in 1995 after the big sweeping success of The Lion King. They decided they wanted to do something that was another sweeping epic, but based on the Inca culture, which I thought would be amazing.
Yeah.
And there is a movie out there as well called The Sweatbox, which you can, I don't know how, I think there might be some clips or something on YouTube, but it was made basically the making of the Kingdom of the Sun, which is what the Emperor's New Groove was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be called The Kingdom of the Sun.
Right.
And it was a big production again where it almost had a feeling of The Prince and the Pauper, where you were still going to have the Incan emperor and a peasant, but they were going to be similar in age and actually look identical, and the emperor wanted to have a vacation, so he swaps with the peasant.
Okay.
But during that time, yes, he still happens to be turned into a llama. So the llama thing was still a llama thing.
For a reason.
But the peasant who is acting as the emperor falls in love with one of the emperor's suitors, who thought that the emperor had a change of heart, and the emperor said llama falls in love with a llama herder who tries to help him get back to being a human again.
Okay.
And so there's love stories involved.
And it was supposed to be a musical?
It was supposed to be a musical done by Sting.
Yes, that's right. And
he was contracted for 9 songs, and it was supposed to be a huge thing. And then with the, I hate to say this, flops that happened with Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, where it was getting really intense, really deep concepts and ideas, they didn't want to do that again because they saw that it's really not holding up in the theaters as much right now.
Right.
And so in 1998, they almost 100% scrapped it. Michael Eisner basically gave... Hi,
Michael, you're back.
Yeah, hi, Michael. Gave the new director, because the old director quit, about 2 weeks to revamp.
Oh my God.
And they still had a date that was supposed to come out as of 2000. So late 1998.
That gives me lots of...
The new director basically told, hey, come out with a movie, have it done by 2000, so that way all of our sponsors like McDonald's and Coca-Cola are able to still do the product for it. Go. You have 2 weeks to convince me. And so they changed it from this huge...
Yeah, it was big, sweeping musical
story where it was, it would have been visually beautiful, I'm sure, and very in-depth in the Incan culture, too, where it basically... David Reynolds, who was one of the writers, it said, I pitched a simple comedy that's basically a buddy road picture with 2 guys being chased.
It literally
That is what it is.
Literally what it is.
And half of the ensemble wasn't able to come back because by that time, other things had been going on. Sting, who was supposed to be the musical producer, had a tour coming up and other things going on. He just couldn't do it.
Right.
But he was actually so frustrated at Disney, he thought about coming after them for a little bit, but then they settled on him still being able to keep 3 of the deleted songs in a bonus feature.
Okay.
And that's where you can also find Eartha Kitt singing
Yes.
her villain song as
Which
well,
was
which you
Snuff Out the Lights.
Yep, which you don't hear in the actual show of The Emperor's New
Right.
Groove, but
It is
still doable. It's still findable.
And you can also find it on YouTube, and it is actually kind of delightful.
I mean, Eartha Kitt's
it's
an
Eartha Kitt. I mean,
amazing
a singer, like that's her thing. So she did a wonderful job. Snuff Out the Lights, and it is absolutely an awesome song that you could tell from a movie that was way grander than actually came out. So it was really, really interesting. It's kind of another abandoned kind of storyline. Kind of.
But this is one that they just kind of kept some of the ideas about.
Yeah.
But they also were afraid that they were going to be seeming like they were making fun of the Incan culture, so they
Right.
had to really walk that fine line.
And you can see they really stylized the story
Very
a
much
lot.
so.
And they didn't really get very detailed in anything with Incan culture. They kind of used the visual style really followed it, but they didn't really get into it.
They were almost concerned about, I hate to say this, but the church. And, well, I mean, religious connotations, because nothing in Disney IP, especially to that point, really pushed the envelope for anything that might have been different. I mean, you had the Sultan in Aladdin saying
Right.
Allah a little bit, but not anything where it was an obvious change.
Right. Okay.
In religion. And so the original story had a lot more of their culture, and Yzma was supposed to be working with one of the gods to be able to keep her youthful.
Which is actually where, and sorry, this is a super tangent thing, but it is, that was actually her original character design was, for Snuff Out the Light, was actually that she realized that she had gotten old because of exposure to the sun.
Yep.
So the whole idea was she was going to become
All
young
those
again
wrinkles.
Yes. Her whole idea was she was going to get rid of her, she was going to bring her youth back by
getting rid of the sun.
And so that was and that's why Kingdom of the Sun was basically all around her deal with this Incan god. And then part of that was, also this storyline with the emperor and all this stuff. So it was a lot of moving parts in this one.
Yeah, this was going to be
really
a
became
very huge, in-depth movie,
Yeah.
and they cut the cast in half, and they stopped it from being a musical, and they did ask Sting to be the person who sung that jazzy intro to the show, and he went, "No, this is not me. I feel like you should get someone younger." So what's funny is they got somebody 10 years older than Sting to sing it.
Of course they did.
Who doesn't love Cusco?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man,
But
that's funny.
another thing that people get confused too is just the title of it. I mean, you have The Emperor's New Groove. You think automatically of Hans Christian Andersen's The Emperor's New Clothes, but there's no connection whatsoever.
It's one of those movies that's so funny because it's, for Disney especially, it's very thrown together.
Very much.
But for whatever reason, the team that was part of it just made it work. And
for how limited time they had?
And they had some great, they had David Spade, and they had Eartha Kitt, and they had Patrick Warburton.
John.
And John Goodman. I mean, it was actually kind of an all-star cast. And they took a very simple concept and just kind
After they rewrote it.
After they rewrote, right? They took this. They had just stripped it back, created a super the buddy road trip flick, and just reset it, animated it in a style that somebody had put together. They got it all together and they made a movie, and it just is very cohesive, and it's a tight little movie that works really well and has a really talented thing. There's nothing wasted, and it's interesting. It's interesting that something that rushed and that pushed to the end came through in a way that it's just a delightful film.
But it's one of those Disney movies that was a flop as well. I mean, it was not accepted easily in the box office, and in fact, it butted up right next to the what's the other one that's constantly thought of as Disney, but it's El Dorado. The Road to El Dorado.
Okay.
They came out same year. And so, again, then you all of a sudden had the fight of who actually was the originating company and who was actually copying. And Disney was like, well, this has been in production since 1995. So, I mean, technically we had the idea first. But,
right.
you know, then you were like, okay, well, who's the better of the Incan or mid-American, you know, tribal cultures for a movie.
Yeah.
And so that knocked it down a little bit too. One thing that Disney did try as well for this movie was they focused a lot on Latin culture with this one, where they even got some releases that were just dubbed in Spanish.
Okay.
But they found most of the Latinx community would go to the English versions anyways. So after a few weeks, they just pulled the Spanish ones because nobody was coming to them.
Okay. Interesting.
So it was not a good movie necessarily.
It wasn't a critical success,
but it's
in the
definitely
beginning.
More of a
if you go back,
subculture following.
If you go back to it, there's something about it that's just kind of special in its own quirky little way, and it's a lovable film to go back to.
Very much so.
And it's too bad that it didn't have the big smashing success. But compared to a big movie like Frozen or something, a modern one, then this one. Sorry, I brought up Frozen again. It's our 1 year anniversary. I had to bring it up. This one I would much rather sit down and just watch because it's not hard.
Fun.
It's fun. It's not hard to watch. You don't have to get super emotionally invested into it. It's just fun. It's a fun film, and it was a fun cast, and I think it went. Yeah. It was a really fun one to watch. It brought back
the entertainment of Disney, where Disney was starting to get into really big ideals and everything, and the fun part was starting to, I can see that going away with Disney, because I'm not going to really grab like a Pocahontas or a Hunchback of Notre Dame if I'm looking for something enjoyable and light.
Yes.
And so this is one of them that I'm like, Cusco!
Oh, yeah. Exactly, and that's just it. Pull the crunk, pull the lever. Like that's
wrong lever.
Yeah, it's super quotable, especially people between basically your and my age. People between us, we kind of bookend it, but people in our age range between we
have a 10-year span between us essentially.
So that we bookend this kind of group, and it's really we're kind of millennials actually. You and I kind of bookend it a little bit.
I am like.
Just on the cusp?
Almost. I don't like to admit that I'm a millennial.
We don't have to talk about... Well, we did just talk about it.
You were the one who brought it up. I try not to.
Millennial shouldn't be a bad word. It's just that everyone else has made it a bad word. But basically, we bookend that kind of era that this movie, I think in our generation specifically, kind of resonated. Just because I think it was kind of... For me, when it came out, I was in kindergarten. Sorry, dear. And so it was...
I was driving.
I'm sorry. It was present, right as I was starting to watch movies. And so I knew friends that had a VHS right away of it, and we were watching it. So it's always been there, and it's always been just kind of like... I've always remembered it as being a fun movie. It's definitely
one of those videos that little kids can just constantly like binge and watch over and over and over again.
I'll watch it right now.
Yes, but not back to back to back. There are some Disney videos that little kids are like, again, and you're not going to see that with the big, heavy-hitting
I'm not going to watch The Lion King again. Like, there's just too much going on to watch it just like in a row. I mean,
back to back.
Right.
Not saying that we're never going to watch it again.
No, we will, but like...
to see the Hunchback and Frollo fighting, and those are way too big of ideals for this little kid, and they're not going to be like, I don't want to watch. Let's watch Cusco.
Right, I want to see Cusco again. That's fun. Let's do the dance in the beginning. We'll watch that with the Fun Mom energy. Let's do it. So yeah.
It's available on Netflix right now. Not that we're advertising for Netflix, but if you want to see it for free, there it is. Other than that, I think that's it.
It's a fun one, and we thought it'd be fun to talk about. Yeah.
It's simple. It's enjoyable. You're going to want your own little bottle of llama juice and make spinach puffs.
Oh, we should make a llama juice drink.
We should.
All right, we'll post that later. Anyway,
You'll post that later.
I'll post
I'm
that
just
later.
gonna be
We'll figure it
drinking
out. I'll
You're the
we'll
bartender
work
of
it out.
us.
We'll
so,
work it out.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All right, so
on that note, you've been watching and listening to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And I hope you all have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Great big beautiful tomorrow, just a dream